Okay, let's unpack this moment of intense pressure and this immediate spiritual pivot. We are diving deep into a single, highly concentrated piece of ancient narrative, Canto 1, Chapter 19. And it doesn't just describe a crisis, it really offers a blueprint for how to handle absolute mortality. Our focus is King Parīkṣit, a great ruler, right after he receives a death curse, and the instantaneous, profound way he reframes that entire event.
Exactly. Our mission today is to move past the simple plot point of the curse and, understand the philosophical architecture of the king's response. We're tracing the emotional and spiritual trajectory of this final quest, verse by verse, nugget by nugget. This isn't just about a king facing a snake, it's a detailed guide for anyone confronting an inevitable hard stop.
And the opening is staggering. I mean, from the first few verses, we learn the king is filled with despair. But not because of the death sentence. It's because of what the source calls his contemptible act against a powerful sage's son. He just owns the mistake immediately.
He does. There's no denial, no bargaining. He says, I have acted basely like an ignoble person.
That level of immediate self-reproach it's just astonishing for a reigning monarch.
It speaks volumes about his character, his spiritual maturity. And what's truly fascinating here is the speed and the totality of his acceptance of the consequence. He knows the misfortune delivered by the serpent named Takshaka is coming.
But he transforms the threat.
Yes, he welcomes the impending doom as a means of atonement for his error, and crucially, as a necessary detachment from the material world. He essentially weaponizes his own fear.
That's the part that sticks with me. Most people, upon receiving a death sentence would immediately try to fight it, delay it, or punish the messenger. But he views the curse as a gift, a chance to purify himself. Help us understand the scale of that transformation.
It's a complete flip of priorities. The king, sensing the gravity of his mistake, feels he has to pay for it fully. He is ready for his entire kingdom, his military, his treasury, everything he's built, to be consumed by what he calls the fire of the enraged Brahman family. This radical willingness to surrender everything serves a single purpose: to ensure that the wicked thought that led to his action never, ever recurs. This destruction becomes his purification ritual.
So he moves from absolute self-criticism to absolute spiritual resolution in, fewer than 10 lines of text.
And that resolution takes the form of this radical act known as prayopavasham. This is not merely a fast or a protest, it is a vow of fasting until death. He swiftly and deliberately rejects attachment to both this world and the next. His entire focus just shifts, becoming singularly dedicated to devotion, specifically honoring the service to Krishna's feet.
And he chooses the perfect stage for this final act, right? He commits to this fast on the bank of the river Ganga, the sacred immortal river. Why is the location so crucial to this act of self-surrender?
Well, the river Ganga is referred to in the source material as the one that purifies both worlds. By sitting on its bank, he's placing himself at a spiritual nexus, a place of supreme sanctity. He's ensuring that his final moments are just, bathed in purity. He commits to total concentration, focusing only on the feet of the divine, completely free from all attachments. He is converting his dying day into his most important act of worship.
And the sources enhance the sacred setting so beautifully, describing the water itself. They say something like, what dying person would not resort to this river, whose waters are enhanced by the dust from Krishna's feet and the fragrant sacred tulasi leaves? It's poetry, but it also solidifies the philosophical weight of his choice. He's not just running away, he is running toward spiritual freedom.
Precisely. And the cosmic gravity of this moment is immediately confirmed by the arrival of the greatest sages and personalities of that era. The sources tell us these great beings purify the world simply by traveling to sacred places. Their arrival validates the king's decision as having cosmic significance, not just personal relevance.
This gathering is truly legendary. The sources list an ancient hall of fame: Atri, Vasista, Shavana, Parasharda, Vishvamitra, Parsharama, Utatya, Maitreya, Kapalada, the great sage Narada, and even Vyasa himself. This isn't just a casual group therapy session. This is the entire spiritual and intellectual weight of the world descending upon one spot.
The gravity is immense. The king acknowledges this by honoring every assembled sage Brahmarshi, Rajarshi, and Devarshi, bowing his head in deep reverence. And once he has their attention, his address is central to the entire chapter's meaning. He approaches them with a completely purified, humble heart. He admits that his royal family lineage often distances them from the purity achieved by Brahmins. He sees his royal background as inherently prone to arrogance and mistake.
But then he gives us the phrase that defines the chapter. He calls the curse itself the root of detachment. This is the moment where the narrative completely flips its axis. Can we spend a little time on that specific concept? The root of detachment.
We have to. The concept of the root of detachment, or nirvidamullo, is the analytical core of the king's realization. He sees the curse as a direct intervention given by the Supreme Lord, which immediately brings about fear and stops his distracted attachment to his home and his family. For the average person, attachment to home is comforting, but for someone on the path to liberation, it's a chain. The threat of death cuts that chain instantly.
So instead of thinking, I have 7 days to live, he's thinking, thank goodness I only have 7 days left to be distracted.
Exactly that. The impending threat forces him to awaken. It provides the ultimate focus. This is why his request to the assembled sages is so powerful. He asks the brāhmaṇas and the Ganga to witness his fixed resolve. He essentially says, let the serpent bite me. I have no fear of that. My only request is that you please sing the glories of Vishnu. His focus has completely transcended the physical, mortal threat and moved into eternal dedication.
And his final prayer confirms this. He prays that in every life he takes from now on, he may always have devotion to the infinite Lord, friendship toward all beings, and respect for the sages. It's a profound declaration of intent, ensuring that his death leads to future spiritual progress, regardless of what happens physically now.
And following such a declaration, the text shows immediate cosmic approval. The king hands over the burden of the state to his son, sits resolutely, and faces north. Heavenly beings approve, showering flowers and beating drums. It's the universe acknowledging he made the right choice.
It's the highest form of endorsement, and the rishis who are already there unanimously praise him. They note that it's fitting that he, a descendant of Krishna's followers, would instantly abandon his royal throne for the companionship of the Lord. They promise to remain there until he reaches that supreme, stainless, sorrowless world.
This reassurance allows the king to move to the next phase of his quest. He asks his second crucial question. He addresses this assembly, whom he calls the embodiment of the Vedas, and affirms that they are present only to show grace to others. And this leads to the ultimate practical question of the chapter. He asks them to reveal the pure duty of a person who is certainly going to die.
He's essentially asking the world's greatest spiritual authorities. I know I'm dying. What's the curriculum?
Yes. But just as he poses this universal question, the crucial turning point occurs. The arrival of his true guru, the great expert. This is the son of Vyasa, a figure described as wandering at random, completely detached and unrecognized by most.
And the description of this arriving sage is fantastic because it's so contradictory. He arrives naked, surrounded by children, seemingly a lunatic, yet possessing this immense power.
The detailed description is key to setting his status. He's depicted as only 18 years old, extremely beautiful, with long, graceful arms, a smiling face, and a broad chest. Yet he is naked and covered in scattered, unkempt hair. This contrast divine beauty and absolute uncompromising detachment signals that he's not bound by any societal rules or expectations. He operates on a plane entirely different from the assembled ritualistic sages.
Right, and despite this shocking appearance, the assembled Hall of Fame, all those great sages, immediately recognize his spiritual power. They all rise from their seats. The king honors him deeply, and when this young, detached sage sits down, he shines like the moon surrounded by stars and planets. The guide has arrived, but he looks nothing like what you would expect.
And this is a major insight. The ultimate spiritual truth often comes from the least expected source, unbound by the very traditions it helps define. The king approaches this tranquil, sharp-witted sage and acknowledges the immediate blessing. He states that their homes are purified just by remembering the sage, let alone seeing, touching, or honoring him. His mere presence instantly destroys great sins.
And the king realizes this visit is not random chance. He recognizes that the visit of such a truly unattached personality would never happen naturally to someone preoccupied with home life and empire, especially one nearing death unless it was a direct intervention by the supreme will.
Krishna has sent help.
Exactly.
And this realization primes the king for his core inquiry, which is the most important part of the chapter for us, for you, the listener. He asks, what is the ultimate duty for a person who is certainly going to die? But he doesn't leave it vague. He structures the query perfectly. He makes it a complete syllabus for final spiritual preparation.
He breaks it down into actionable steps. Specifically, he asks, what should one hear? What should one chant? What should one do? What should one remember? And whom should one worship?
And he adds the critical inverse. Conversely, what should be avoided? This structured approach demonstrates that the king isn't just seeking comfort. He's seeking a definitive step-by-step procedure to ensure liberation within his remaining time. He's taking control of his ending.
That attention to detail is remarkable, especially given his mental state. The king closes his address by noting the urgency, that this sage rarely stays anywhere for longer than it takes to milk a cow. It just underscores how precious and fleeting this teaching opportunity is.
And the chapter concludes by setting the stage for the definitive answer. The source tells us that thus questioned by the king in such gentle, focused words, the virtual son of Vyāsa prepared to reply. The stage is set for the teaching that will define the rest of the king's life and death.
This single chapter is truly stunning because it gives us the definitive philosophical framework for facing mortality, and it's entirely rooted in conscious choice. The king's reaction shifts the entire narrative focus from the fear of the curse to the opportunity for final spiritual resolution. The external catastrophe becomes his internal catalyst, his purification fire.
What stands out here is how the king transforms an immediate death sentence into a highly structured curriculum for liberation. The detailed questions he asks, what to hear, what to chant, what to do, serves as the core lesson not just for him, but for all of us. Anytime you face a major transition, a life-altering diagnosis, or a significant endpoint, these are the only questions that truly matter.
So what does this all mean for you? The source material suggests that true renunciation is not merely giving up physical wealth, but consciously turning a negative external event, a curse, a misfortune, a crushing setback, into an internal catalyst for profound purpose. We invite you to consider this. What current stressor or perceived curse in your life could be reframed as your personal route of detachment? The pressure point that finally forces you toward a greater, undeniable spiritual or personal goal.
You know, we spend so much of our time thinking about how to live our lives. But have you ever really stopped to think about how to die? Today, we're diving into a story that starts right at the end, the last 7 days of a king's life. And it all boils down to a single profound question, one that might just change how you think about your own life.
So, let's just imagine for a second. You're told you have exactly 7 days left. No appeals, no escape, just 7 days. Suddenly, what becomes important? What just falls away? I want you to hold on to that thought, because a very powerful king had to face this exact reality head on.
So, let's meet our king. His name is Parīkṣit. And you need to know, he wasn't some evil tyrant. He was a good, respected ruler who, in just one single moment of weakness, made a truly fatal mistake.
Here's what happened. The king was out. He was exhausted, incredibly thirsty, and he stumbles upon a sage deep in meditation. He asks for water, but the sage is completely silent, totally absorbed. The king feels ignored, slighted, and in a moment of pure arrogance, he does something unthinkable. He sees a dead snake on the ground, picks it up, and drapes it over the meditating sage's shoulders. But the second he did it, boom, a crushing wave of regret just washed over him. He knew he'd done something horrible.
And this is where you really see his true character. He doesn't make excuses, he doesn't try to justify it. Instead, he basically says, "Let everything I have, my kingdom, my wealth, my power, burn to the ground today. I just pray my mind never ever turns against holy people again." I mean, that's some serious remorse right there. He's ready to accept any punishment.
And the punishment? Well, it was severe. The offended sage's young son heard about the insult, and he was furious. He delivered a swift and totally inescapable curse. King Parīkṣit would die in exactly 7 days from the bite of the great serpent king Takshaka, a death sentence locked in.
Okay, so what do you do if you're a king with unlimited resources and you're told you're gonna die in a week? Do you try to fight it, build a fortress, hide? His reaction is what makes this story absolutely legendary.
This is where the story just flips on its head. He doesn't see the curse as a punishment at all. No, he sees it as a blessing, a gift. It was like a cosmic alarm clock, you know? It was forcing him to finally wake up and focus on what really matters, giving him a hard deadline to detach from all the worldly stuff he'd been so caught up in.
So he makes this incredibly radical decision. First, he fully accepts the curse as a gift. Then he renounces his entire kingdom, hands it over to his son, and just walks away from everything. He travels to the sacred river Ganga, and there he begins a fast unto death. Think about that. He's not just going to wait around for the serpent to show up. He's going to actively use every last second to pursue spiritual perfection.
Now, when a king does something this dramatic, word gets around. And it doesn't just get around the kingdom, it spreads like wildfire across the entire universe, attracting the attention of the absolute greatest spiritual minds of the age.
This was a huge deal.
We're talking about sages and seers who usually live in total seclusion, deep in forests or caves. But they felt compelled to travel, sometimes for vast distances, just to witness this historic moment. For them, this riverbank became a pilgrimage site.
And just to give you an idea of who showed up, we're talking about legendary names like Atri, Vasista, Vyasa. These are the absolute heavyweights of the ancient spiritual world. It's kind of like if Einstein, Newton, and Stephen Hawking all decided to show up to the same conference. The amount of spiritual and intellectual firepower gathered on that riverbank was just unprecedented.
And it wasn't just them. The source texts make it really clear this was a massive gathering. Divine beings, royal sages, great thinkers from all corners of the universe. They all came to see this one king who was choosing to die with such incredible purpose.
And the approval for what he was doing? It was 100% across the board. All the assembled sages praised his decision. And get this, even the gods up in the heavens showed their support, showering flowers from the sky and beating on celestial drums. The entire cosmos recognized just how important this moment was.
So, the stage is perfectly set, you've got the king ready to die, you have the greatest minds of the universe all assembled, and then someone completely unexpected just wanders into the scene.
And the contrast is just stunning. On one side, you have all these venerable, renowned, established sages. And on the other, a 16-year-old boy walks in. He's naked. He looks kind of like a madman, and he's being followed by a bunch of kids and women who are teasing him. He could not look more out of place.
This wanderer's name is Śukadeva, and he didn't come because he heard the news. He was just passing by, completely by chance. His outer appearance was designed to hide his incredible inner power. He was the ultimate enigma.
But here's the twist. While the kids and the villagers just saw a crazy person, the greatest sages in the universe, they knew. They immediately recognized who he was. And in this incredible sign of profound respect, every single one of those legendary masters stood up from their seats to honor this 16-year-old boy.
The moment they stood up, the whole energy of the place shifted. Śukadeva, this disheveled wanderer, instantly became the center of this cosmic assembly. As the text says, he shone among them like the full moon surrounded by planets and stars. All that collective wisdom, it all turned to him.
And this brings us right to the heart of the story. The king, with just days left to live, with all the spiritual masters of the universe right there in front of him, now knows exactly who he needs to talk to. So he humbly walks up to the young Śukadeva. He bows before him, and with the eyes of gods and sages fixed on them, he gets ready to ask the one question that truly matters.
What should a person, in any and all circumstances, do when they know their time is up? He wanted to know what to listen to, what to chant, what to remember, and what to focus on. It really is the ultimate question, not just for a king, but for every single one of us. So, what would your answer be?